Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Listen, we tried that stage. Now we're back here again. No complaints. It's still the same people here. Two crazy guys who just love talking about sports.
Hey, I'm not crazy, bro.
Hey, you got some crazy takes sometimes. So you are crazy. But anyways, welcome to First Possession. I'm your host, Shana Igoro, here with my partner, David Ogenbe, bringing you the hottest topics in sports. Speaking of hottest topics, that was a hot topic today. Breaking news, J.J. Watt announced on his Twitter that he's going to Arizona Cardinals. Listen, that's a team none of us expected him to go to. You had teams like your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the teams that were looking for him. T.J. Watt, his brother, asked him to join. He didn't join. You know, the Buffalo Bills were also a name that was mentioned. The Cleveland Browns, some legit contenders. And no, he did not choose any of them. He decided to go to Arizona. And listen, my friend, I'm going to bring the discussion to the table right now, and I just want to get your first and instant reaction to this because this is something that shook a lot of people's heads. We all love JJ, though, don't we?
Look, before I say what I'm about to say, JJ, you know, bro. You know you're a cookout.
We love JJ.
You're a cookout member. You are one. You are invited to the cookout. No questions asked. Check whenever your name is brought up to the list. But bruh, what are you doing? Why are you going to the Cardinals, man? I thought you wanted to compete. I thought you wanted to win, or at least have fun doing so.
Yep.
I thought maybe you were gonna go to Pittsburgh if you were gonna do that, but you go to Arizona.
Oof.
Arizona? What's out there in Arizona? Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, they got a nice little duo out there, but what did it result to last year? An 8-8 season. Nothing. So, bruh, I don't understand this move. And this is why, like, I don't get the athlete life. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that they have the right to pick whatever team they want to go to, and they should. And I'm not knocking him for leaving the Texans. Yep. Everybody will leave the Texans. But, bro, you go to a team that's not really a guaranteed contender.
Yeah.
That team, at best, maybe first round appearance, second round appearance.
In that division, who knows?
And in that division, yeah, who really knows? You have the Rams, you have the Seahawks, and you have the 49ers, who are coming off of an injury-riddled season. Mind you, two teams from that division made the playoffs last year. Two! And the Cardinals were not one of them. Yep. And I hate to say it, but somebody's got to say it. J.J. Watt is not what he used to be at all. That man is a shell of his former self. Career lows in sacks, career lows in QB hits, career lows in tackles. So as far as I'm concerned, bruh, I don't understand the signing. You have the right to do it. And like I said, you're invited to the cookout no matter what. No questions asked. You are a Houston legend, and I appreciate everything you've done, not only for the Texans, but for my city of Houston. But bruh, if you got to put me on the spot and tell me if this was a good decision, I can't even say it was.
Listen, good decision, bad decision. I don't want to go there yet because we don't know what the Cardinals can be. We think obviously it was a team last year that we thought could make the playoffs, maybe make some noise. But this year, with the addition of J.J. Watt, I don't know what's to come from this. But listen, there are two times I will never blame an athlete for choosing the money. Like, when you have a chance to go get a bag, go get a bag.
Take it.
Yeah, exactly. When you're a young player, I think like your second contract, you chase the money, you know what I'm saying? And the second time is when you're about to hit that retirement, you're at the latter part of your career.
Are you about to say what I think you're going to say?
I'm not, no, I still think he has a little bit left. A little bit.
He's done, man.
A little bit. No, he can give you about 6-7 sacks a season. 6-7. I mean, that's good enough. But with JJ, the Cardinals obviously offered him a 2-year, $31 million contract with $23 million guaranteed. I don't know if he could have got that at a contender, because obviously if you're going to be a contender, that means you have big money contracts on your team.
But don't you think there's something has to be said about going to a team that you're not going to win a championship with?
That's what I'm saying. You don't know with the Cardinals, though. Listen, they're 8-8. They had a pretty good offense last year. I mean, Kyler Murray obviously struggled here and there. But
are you talking about beating teams that weren't that good in the beginning of the season?
Okay.
They weren't beating great teams. They lost to the Patriots.
But they beat the Seahawks.
The Seahawks, it's easy to put up numbers on the Seahawks, bro.
Okay, granted.
When you have Jamal Adams in the secondary.
You can only play who's in front of you.
Okay, and playing who was in front of them, they went 8-8.
I would say their offense was better than their defense, right? So when you have that situation, you got to go out and get a defensive player. And now you've got somebody who is not, okay, he's not prime JJ. He's not what he used to be, but he can still give you something. He can still give you 6 to 7 sacks a game. He can still apply pressure on the quarterback. He can still cause some havoc on the scrimmage.
Okay, but
line.
let me ask you this. Do you think the
the
Cardinals are contenders?
Contenders? Well, we're talking about Super Bowl contenders or playoff contenders, because I think they can make the playoffs.
Okay, but don't you think that a guy like JJ, who's accomplished what he's accomplished, multiple-time defensive player of the year, one of the greatest defenders in the history of football, why are you going to a team that is not going to guarantee you at least contention for a championship? Why not go to a team like the Steelers? Why not go to a team like the 49ers? Why not take less money to go sign with other teams?
North is also competitive. It's not?
Man, I know
you've got Cleveland, you've got Baltimore there.
You're not getting it, though. It's not about the division being competitive. In the case of the Cardinals, yes, but for the Steelers and all these other teams, these are teams that have proven that they can contend. The Cardinals haven't proven anything. And matter of fact, they even underachieved last year.
Another point that I think a lot of us are, not looking at is, let's not forget who's on that team. His former teammate, D-Hop, who I think might have played a role in heavily recruiting him to come to the Cardinals. So I think we, taking all things into account, I wouldn't say it's a bad move.
I don't want to hear that, bro. Because
8-8, they'll probably be a 10-6 team.
Because my homie goes to a different team and he got traded there. First of all, he didn't even choose to go there. He got traded there. Just because my homie goes to a different team doesn't mean I'm gonna want to go there because my homie is there. JJ Watt is a whole veteran, bro.
The level of friendship that those two guys have.
Okay,
they're both Texans legends. Aren't they? They're both good friends.
I mean,
exactly.
Bro,
you can't underestimate the level of friendship that they have and what role that would play. Hey, TJ Watt was in Pittsburgh. TJ Watt couldn't recruit JJ Watt to the Steelers.
Okay, so that's my point. So what makes you think that DeAndre was able to recruit him? Isn't blood supposed to be thicker? Come on now. That's his homie. That's his family.
This is football, man.
JJ.
This is football.
JJ, I'm disappointing you, bro. You're supposed to come here.
But now I think the Cardinals have no excuse. No excuse not to be at least a 10-win team or at least contend.
So that's how impactful you think JJ Watt is?
They won 8 games without him. I think that should get.
So you think he gives you 2 more games?
I think so.
How good do you think he is still?
The Cardinals' defense last year was really lacking.
Exactly. Really and you think he's going to change that?
6-7 sacks in addition to what they already have, I think that should be good enough. I think that should be good enough. But, moving on. Listen. This is what we're about to go into now. It's a
tough topic.
It's a tough topic.
Not for us, though. Not for us.
Well,
not for me.
Not for me, but, obviously I was related to that team. But we're going to get straight into it. The Houston Rockets have lost 11 straight games since Christian Wood has been out.
An abysmal.
And ladies and gentlemen, last night played the Memphis Grizzlies. They lost by 50.
Jeez.
50 points. They lost to the Grizzlies. Listen. Is it time to panic? I'm just going to say this. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn. Listen.
I don't give a shit either.
And when James Harden, obviously with all the things that happened, I want to leave Houston. I had to literally sit and argue with people that this Rockets team was not good enough to compete in any shape or form. Oh, what do you mean? John Wall's coming back healthy. Great pickup, Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, blah, blah,
Christian Wood did get hurt, though.
He got hurt. But are you banking on beating the Lakers or competing in any shape or form with Christian Wood?
I think Christian, but look, I don't think people understand, for one, the Rockets are tanking. And 2,
well, now they're tanking.
Okay, I don't believe they were tanking before. Because when they were doing their thing before, when Oladipo got there, initially, because I think they went on a 6-7 game win streak, all the Rockets fans, I was seeing them all on Twitter we're better without Harden. Delusional fans. And I always, bro, when I tell you, man, Rockets fans are so annoying, bro. For years, these are the same people who sat there and made excuses for Harden. And then Harden leaves, all of a sudden they're better without Harden. And to the Rockets organization and to Daryl Morey of the Sixers and to Tillman Fertitta, I don't understand what kind of petty, childish beef y'all have. You traded James Harden for Oladipo and first-round picks when you could have got first-round picks, Ben Simmons, and Matisse Thybulle. Does that make any sense? What kind of pettiness is that? And then I sit there and I see Rockets fans sitting there saying, oh, but we're tanking. This is what we're trying to do anyway. Guess what? No matter how much you tank, you're not going to ever find another player like James Harden. It's going to be very hard to find another player like James Harden. You can bank on Cade Cunningham being that guy. You can bank on another draft pick being that guy. Hell, you can wait for Bronny James to be that guy. But guess what, bro? Guess what? James Harden, guys like that are tough to find. They're diamonds in the rough. Mind you, James Harden was a sixth man. So for you to transform a sixth man into what he became today, that's the odds of that are so slim. So why do y'all think it's just going to be easy because you got a whole bunch of picks? Listen. Guess what? The Celtics got a whole bunch of picks. And look at what's going on in Boston. They became respectable, but they're not where they want to be. So as far as I'm concerned with the Rockets, you're suffering what I knew was going to happen. Now you're at the bottom of the West. You're with the Timberwolves. You're with the, well, I'm about to say the Knicks. The Knicks aren't there no more. We'll get to that in a bit. You're with the Pistons. You're at the bottom of the bottom, scraping for the scraps at the bottom. You're getting the fries at the bottom of the bag. You guys are doing nothing right now. And the fact that these people are going to sit there and use Christian Wood's injury as their excuse. Look, I don't care what your excuse is. I don't care.
I mean, that should be. Listen.
And now Oladipo's leaving. You know Oladipo's out of there.
He's out of there.
He's out of there.
And you know, while you were giving your take, I'm just smiling in admiration because that was the exact same thing I said when James Harden got traded. Listen, with the 76ers, with, you know, the Rockets and the Nets pick, I think the 76ers offer was way better than what the Nets offered.
Yeah.
And even with the Nets offer, you couldn't get LeVert and Jared Allen for James Harden. You couldn't get that pick. You couldn't get, you know, I know obviously the Celtics didn't want to trade Jaylen Brown, but if you had made a harder push, I think they would have done something with that. But you had Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and a pick on the board, and you didn't take that. Forget the beef with Daryl Morey. Forget, you know, all the off-the-court stuff with, you know, we're not going to do our business with a former, you know, GM that works here. You got Ben Simmons
acting like children,
on the trade block. Are you serious? Now look at the Nets. Now look at the 76ers. They're a lot better. And now look at the Rockets, who are fighting for the number one pick. So that's my thing. I don't feel sorry for them. I'm glad James Harden is out of that franchise because, you know, for the last couple of years, it's been ridiculous what the front office has done to James Harden and you know, his teammates. And now, you know, I'm just sitting back, laughing, sipping my tea as I watch the Brooklyn Nets, you know, become a top team in the NBA and probably are going to win the championship. So I don't feel sorry one bit for Rockets fans or the Rockets as a team.
And it's funny to me because, watch, they're going to be Rockets fans and they're saying, oh, how do you know we didn't offer James Harden to the Sixers? I'll tell you this right now. You think the Sixers are going to pass up getting James Harden in exchange for Ben Simmons?
Let me tell you,
you can even, you know, it was going to happen because Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle thought they were going to get traded.
Their agents told them
they were going to get traded. So as far as we know, the Rockets were just being petty. They were just being petty. They let pettiness and emotion keep them from getting Ben Simmons, and not pairing him with the Christian Wood.
And I think Sixers, if the Rockets had really said, okay, add something else,
they would have done it.
They had added Tyrese Maxey.
You guys had the leverage to get as many young assets as possible from the Sixers, and you chose to settle for Victor Oladipo for half a season and a bunch of picks. And look, the picks are valuable. I'll give it to you. But that's all you got.
Yeah.
That's it. You traded Harden for picks.
I don't feel sorry one bit for them. And I was hearing all this talk when Harden was like, get me out of here. This team is no good. Listen, watching the Rockets now, Harden was damn right.
But to be fair, there's no Christian Wood.
I mean, okay, but still, come on. You're getting blown out by 50 to the Grizzlies? Come on. Come on, you got to give me something, bro.
I mean, but Christian Wood, he makes a big impact. He's their rim protector. He's a great floor spacer.
I have no association with the Rockets anymore, except for the fact that I live in Houston. After that, literally, I don't give a damn what the Rock. They can lose the next 30 games. I would not care less. The Rockets stink, and then none of my business. James Harden's out of that franchise. And he probably will be lifting the championship this year. And, you know, that makes my heart smile.
This guy. But anyways, your heart is smiling?
Yes.
How does that even work?
Yes.
Your heart has teeth?
James Harden's about to, you know, win a championship.
Man, let's move on.
That's cause to smile.
Let's move on.
Don't be a hater. But anyways, moving on to the next segment. Ooh, the New York Knicks. New York. They're finally above 500. That's got to be like the first time in, 10 years?
It's been a long time.
That's got to be what? I don't know when the last time the New York Knicks were, I don't know, above 500 mid-season. So we're just going to talk about that right now. You know, the New York Knicks. I don't want to call them a contender, but they are definitely a playoff contender. Because if they meet the wrong team...
Dude, stop it, man.
Listen. They're 4th seed right now in the West.
Okay.
I mean, in the East right now.
Yeah.
They're 4th seed. Let's say the playoffs ended today. That's ridiculous. But let's just say the playoffs ended today.
I mean, the season ended today.
The season ended today. They will have home court advantage in the playoffs.
You mean in the first round?
In the first round.
There you go.
Home court advantage, New York Knicks. Have we said that in the last 7 to 8, 9 years?
No.
That's cause to be joyful for.
That's very true.
And I think that, listen, they are first in points per game allowed. I don't know what it is with Tom Thibodeau and defense, but that marriage is working perfectly fine because he gets his guys to play defense. I'm talking about they locked down. I'm finally happy Julius Randle got his respect, you know, obviously with the All-Star or whatnot. But they've got some dogs on that team. RJ Barrett, who we do not show enough love, he's having a career year, you know, shooting career highs in points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, all of that. They picked up Derrick Rose, who's also a veteran in addition, you know, to doing some scoring right there, off the bench. You know, I think great pickup for the Knicks. And they've got an impressive rookie in Emmanuel Quickly who can get you buckets anytime. Yeah. And I think they've
Alonzo Trier 2.0.
Alonzo Trier 2.0. I'm saying, but he can get you buckets.
Yeah.
He can get you buckets.
Yeah, he's Alonzo Trier 2.0.
Absolutely.
And where's Alonzo Trier?
Oh, come on. Let's not do that now. Come on. Let's show the Knicks some love. Come on.
And Obi Toppin, what's he looking like?
Stop being negative.
I'm just saying he looks like a bust.
Let's give the Knicks some love right here.
Like, I'm not giving them
And they've got a defensive protector in Mitchell Robinson. And listen. I know, like, starting the season, we're like, okay, the Knicks are 5-5. Oh, they're looking all right. We're like, okay, they're going to fade away mid-season, end of the season. They're not as good as we think. But they've been showing signs of improvement right now. And I think Tom Thibodeau, you know, he's I think top 3 for Coach of the Year right now. And Julius Randle, you know, he's an all-star. They've got some pieces. And I think if they come across the wrong team, I'm not saying they're going to win because we don't know till we get there, but they can cause a team trouble in the playoffs. So what do you think about the Knicks? And listen, we've got to show the Knicks some love because they're playing phenomenal basketball right now.
Look, man.
Oh, come on.
When I tell y'all the Knicks are getting so overblown.
Oh, my God.
And I'm actually annoyed that this is the team we got to talk about because over there in the West, we're not even talking about a team like the Spurs who are killing it in the Western Conference. And DeMar DeRozan is proving to people why he's a top 50 player. I can't believe that was even a thing.
Don't pay attention to the rankings.
The Knicks, bro, who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? The Knicks are a product of how weak the East is. They're one game above 500 and they're the 4th seed. Yeah, I'm going to go there. Yeah, I'm going to go there. Look, it's a good thing that the Knicks are doing okay because basketball is better when the Knicks are hooping and the Lakers. But as far as I'm concerned, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because, like, this is a team that's going to get swept in the first round. I don't expect them to last as the 4th seed throughout the rest of the year. Even if they do, and they manage to somehow in some way pull off a miracle and win a playoff series, they're going to lose in the second round anyway. They're not going to make it past the second round. So in the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. And then on top of that, we know Julius Randle is just a stepping stone for whenever they're going to sign the next stupid contract. Because I've already seen the rumors that they're interested in Victor Oladipo. So it's only going to be a matter of time before they ruin it by giving him a max. Maybe they might throw a max contract to Derrick Rose after this season. Hell, matter of fact, they did call Taj Gibson back to come back to the team. You might as well call Joakim Noah. Didn't Joakim Noah just retire? Yeah. Maybe they'll call him up and say, hey, you want a max contract again? That's what the Knicks do. So as far as I'm concerned, until I see them actually prospering, and sure, they're prospering right now, but who really cares about that? I'm not going to give them some type of award for being mediocre.
Listen.
Because that's what this is,
If
bro.
the Knicks win one game.
And then, I don't even mean to cut you off. The thing that really gets me is the fact that they're so quick to jump to conclusions. I'm seeing people say Julius Randle is better than Chris Bosh.
That's ridiculous, but we're not going to talk about
it. I can't even believe that was a conversation on Twitter. Let me tell you this, Knicks fans. If you are sitting here hyped because your team is one game above 500 to the point that you're going to sit here and disrespect Chris Bosh, a 2-time champion, multiple-time All-Star, and a future NBA Hall of Hall of Famer for the sake of Julius Randle having his first All-Star season, which may not ever happen again. That just shows how delusional of a fan base you guys are. Y'all are so used to mediocrity that when you guys get something that's just satisfactory progress, y'all guys lose your minds and become mentally ill to make statements like that.
Listen,
it's ridiculous.
Okay, with the Chris Bosh comparisons, that was idiotic. But Knicks fans, don't listen to this guy. Get excited. Enjoy this right now, because for the last 5, 6, 7 years, I know you guys have been
6, 7 years.
Pain for the last decade.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Decade.
Come on. They enjoyed the Carmelo Anthony days.
I think you might have to say since 2000. They've been awful, bro. Since Patrick Ewing retired, since Patrick Ewing left, because that's another thing. They didn't even let Patrick Ewing retire with the Knicks, which is an abomination in itself. Since Patrick Ewing left the Knicks have been nothing short of atrocity. Even in the Melo time, it was only 2 years. That's it. Jeremy Lin was the height of the Melo era anyway. Actually, let me take that back. Melo did have a good year afterwards. I'll give it to him. But aside from those 2 years, what have the Knicks done in my lifetime? The Knicks have been nothing more than just dirt underneath the entire NBA
Cowboys
shoes.
2.0?
Yeah, they're the Cowboys of the NBA. Wow. They have all this hype, and they've done nothing. Actually, I wouldn't even call them the Cowboys because people don't even have the Cowboys hype. I think they're the Cleveland Browns of the NFL. Of the NBA. Wow. They have great history. That is historic history. They're in New York. Nice little market. Meanwhile, look at Cleveland. They got the dog pound. They got a strong fan base. Great history in Cleveland. But they've done nothing. Now they're successful, and you see them barking their chest up, thinking they could beat the Chiefs. Remember that?
Yep.
All that garbage and bullshit. And now the Knicks are doing the exact same thing. And I could care less, bro.
I gotta kill the vibe.
I'm killing the vibe.
Listen,
the vibe needs to be killed. It needs to be
when
killed.
I tell you, with some teams that have been bad
They're so
for
lame,
a
bro.
long
They're so
period
lame.
of time, when they start winning, they feel happy. They feel joy. I mean,
You don't see me happy.
Come on, hey, because
Aren't the
Steelers
Bulls
are no good.
I'm talking about the Bulls,
Are you talking
man.
about the Bulls?
The Bulls are in the
the Bulls
playoff
are
hunt.
having
You don't
good-
see me going out there and saying, hey, Zach LaVine's better than Michael Jordan. You don't see me doing that
We know
stuff.
they're not gonna do anything. I mean, the Bulls don't have a record of being bad for 10 years, 20 years.
Hey, this past couple
Come
of
on.
years, we've been pretty
Come on.
bad.
No,
hey,
listen.
the Bulls are not that great of a franchise,
Listen,
yo.
Knicks fans, don't listen to this guy. Be happy, be glad, be joyous. The Knicks are back in the playoff picture. They might compete. They are competing at a high level. Listen, but we don't know what the end is going to look like. This is also attractive for free agents. We don't know what free agent might sign with them. But listen, I'll say Knicks fans, be happy, be excited. It's a brand new day in New York City. But that's it for this segment. When we come back...
It is a brand new day. It's March 1st.
Relax. When we come back, we'll be talking about Drew Brees. He hasn't officially asked to retire. He hasn't officially retired. Posted a video of him working out. We'll discuss that when we come back. Also, Giannis Antetokounmpo showed out and balled out against the Clippers last night. We'll be breaking that down when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to First Possession. Here, we're still talking all things sports. Listen, over the weekend, Drew Brees posted a video of him working out. Not what most people expected, because they thought he was going to get retired. He's probably, preparing to get retired, but he hasn't officially announced his retirement, and he's posting football workout videos.
That nigga tweaking.
Do you think Drew Brees should retire because he hasn't officially announced his retirement, and now he's posting football workout videos? That might indicate he's coming back. Man. So do you think Drew Brees should retire?
It's been time for him to retire. And honestly, looking back on it, Drew Brees probably should have retired a couple of years ago. Because, dude, when I talk about the Saints, it pisses me off because, they put themselves in positions to win every single year, and they do nothing with it. This is an organization that choking is instilled in their blood. They choked against the Vikings twice. They choked against the Rams, and then they choked against the Bucks this past year. Yep. It's just in their DNA. When you have something like that in your culture, you need a culture change. And what better change than to move your quarterback onto the greener pastures? Go enjoy with your family. I see his kids. They look like they have a lovely
little
family. You know what I'm saying? Picket fence family. So at this point, Drew, call it a day. You don't even have the arm strength that you used to have anymore. You can't push the ball downfield the way that you used to. And it's been a great career. That Super Bowl that he won in 2009 is one of the most iconic Super Bowls in the history of Super Bowls, no pun intended. But regardless, man, let it go. Your boy Slant Thomas needs somebody else. just move on and call it a day.
Listen,
bro.
should Drew Brees retire? Okay, so I think a lot of us, when we look at last year's playoffs, we're like, okay, yeah, he looked really bad. But let's not forget, he was dealing with injuries on his shoulder, on his rib. He had, multiple broken ribs, about 10 of them. Obviously, that had some restrictions to do with throwing the ball. And let's not forget about Slant Thomas.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, who was injured for most part of last season, played about 5 to 7 games last season. In the regular season and the playoffs, he was a no-show. Let's not forget about that. And obviously, if your top wide receiver is not on his game, you as a quarterback are not going to be on your game.
That was literally the definition of a no-show.
Exactly. No,
Nothing.
Zero catches, nothing, no show. And with Drew Brees, when I look at Drew Brees, right, last year threw about 70% of his passes. Always been an accurate passer, still an accurate passer.
Oh, please, man. Those checkdowns, that stuff doesn't count, bro.
Hey,
I don't care about that.
And so with Drew Brees, I look at the Saints, right? Who is your option? Taysom Hill, who's more of a wide receiver running back than an actual quarterback.
That man is a utility player,
Exactly.
bro.
Utility player for Taysom Hill. That's who you want being your quarterback. Jameis Winston, 30 for 30. That's who you want being your quarterback.
Jameis is not that bad, though.
30 for
He's
30
not
is
that bad.
pretty
He
bad.
couldn't even see, bro.
Oh,
He couldn't even see.
Oh, really? He couldn't
He
see?
couldn't see.
That's what
Drew Brees could see, and he threw 3 interceptions.
That's what he told. Listen, what Jameis could have done any better,
and he would have given you 3 touchdowns
with that Bucs defense. Listen, I know we all talk about how.
Wait, you think Drew should have been left in the game with?
No, I think they should have took him out.
Exactly.
I'm saying when you take everything into account, he looked bad because there were a lot of things that were bad around him.
What?
His top wide receiver.
Are you serious? No. I know you're not doing that. You're not doing that. Are
Listen.
you blaming the team?
No, I'm not giving Drew any pass. He looked bad, but I'm saying it's not as bad as many.
Yeah, it is. It is as bad.
Team. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
He had injuries throughout the entire season. He had multiple broken ribs. His top wide receiver was hurt.
Oh my God.
Am I right? Yes or no? His top wide receiver was hurt.
Stop.
And that had a lot of things to do with Drew Brees being ineffective with his throwing last season. And I'm saying, at least bring him back. Bring him back. He shouldn't retire yet because I still think, guess what? At the end of the day, when you look at the Saints, your options are not that much better than Drew Brees, except, okay, maybe you have Except maybe you have a Russell Wilson, sitting on a table for a trade. Maybe, obviously you do that. But when I look at Jameis and Taysom
So
Hill,
you're going to go with Drew over Jameis as your quarterback of the future?
you can't take away the experience.
Dude, I don't care. I don't
take
care
that
about your
away from
experience when your productivity doesn't match what your experience says it should. Because at the end of the day,
He
Drew
was hurt.
I don't care. I don't care.
He was hurt.
After week 1, everybody is hurt. So I don't care.
come on,
and if he was so hurt, why did he play?
Come on.
Because I was seeing so many Saints fans saying, "Oh, Buster Ribs, blah 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 blah."
Buster
So why did he
Ribs.
play? Why did he
You gotta
play?
fight for your team. What do you mean?
You have Jameis as a backup. He's a reliable backup for stuff like this.
Jameis was just
why
coming
is it?
off a
Why
season
is it
of
that
30
Alex?
and 30.
Why is it
That's
that?
who you want in the
Okay,
playoff
so
game?
why is it that when Alex Smith was not cleared to play, he sat out? Why is it that Drew Brees, if he was so hurt, why did he just sit out, bro?
Because at the end of the day, I still trust him more than Taysom.
We saw Taylor,
and I still trust him more than Jameis.
So you don't think that a guy like Jameis Winston could have done better than what Drew Brees did against the Bucs? When we literally saw Taylor Heineke do what he did against them. And you tell me Jameis can't do that and even more?
Drew Brees has some restrictions. One of them is throwing the ball down the field. And obviously that hinders your team in a big way.
Huge
but I'm
way.
saying you can't take away the experience, the IQ.
I don't care about your
can't take away
experience.
the efficiency.
So does productivity not matter?
It matters.
Because
they won 11
look,
games.
and you're talking about the team around him. Alvin Kamara was an amazing running back for them this past year. So many checkdowns that Drew Brees threw to him that he turned into plays that shouldn't have even happened.
Okay.
So Kamara held up his end. The defense was outstanding last year.
Absolutely.
And not only that, he has Slant Thomas. And I know he was out for some
hurt
games.
most of the year,
but
and in the playoffs was a
yeah,
no-show.
I know, I understand that, but let's not forget the other years that he had Michael Thomas on his team, and he still choked when he had more arm talent. So why is it that now when his arm talent is already dissolved, the team is better? And don't forget, I don't understand why people are forgetting that Jameis Winston literally walked in the game and they had their best play of the entire game. He threw a dart down the field that resulted in a long touchdown. So why is it that you can't look at that and say that's clearly our guy going forward? Because Drew can't do that anymore. He can't do it anymore. And the Saints, I keep saying this, when you have a culture of choking, you need to get rid of the culprit that is caused that culture to become what it is.
In the last 3-4 years, the Saints have the best win-loss rate in the entire NFL. In the regular season, they have the best win-loss rate in the entire NFL.
And what has happened in the postseason?
Who is the quarterback?
What's happened in the playoffs?
Drew Brees.
And what has happened in the playoffs?
They've had shortcomings.
They folded, right?
They've had shortcomings.
They fold every year. Literally on cue, fold. So why is it that you can't remove that culture? You can't have that culture stay there.
You can say the same about a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of teams.
And teams do that. We just saw Matthew Stafford get removed from the Detroit Lions because they needed a new set of culture. Why can't the Saints do that? Because they're trying to win. I get the need of wanting to win a championship, but it's clearly not working out with Drew. And I understand the defense is amazing. You got to capitalize on how great your defense is because it's going to be a matter of time before certain people want some money and you got to break it up.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, why not just move on with Jameis, give him less money, and then we fix the defense?
Maybe we're overblowing the workout video, but I am saying, obviously, at the end of the last season, the playoffs, he looked back at the dome and it looked like it was the last time. But
it should be.
He hasn't officially announced his retirement, and now he's working out.
Yeah, go work out at LA Fitness. Don't work out on an NFL field.
I don't know, Mustard. This might be something. But, we'll see what happens with Drew Brees and the Saints because, the Saints are a team that are ready to win now, and it's good that they get a quarterback that, can actually produce in a good way. Moving on, the Raptors, Kyle Lowry hasn't been playing for the last couple of games for the Raptors. And they've looked like a real team. They're sitting now in 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. And the last 16 games that the Raptors have played without Kyle Lowry, they've won 15 of them.
Are you trying to say they're better without Kyle Lowry?
I'm not saying they're better, but I'm saying, is it time that the Raptors trade Kyle Lowry?
That's a tough question.
I say hell yes.
It's a very tough question. And I'm going to say no.
Whoa.
I'm going to say no. The reason I say no, and I'm sure you're going to present a counter argument, is because when you have a guy like Kyle Lowry, you take care of him for the rest of his career. Lowry has been amazing for the Toronto Raptors, and now they're back in the playoff mix. Why not just keep Lowry for the rest of his career? Lowry does not need championships to solidify his greatness. His greatness has already been solidified. If he can get another ring, cool, but it's not going to really change his legacy. It is what it is, and I don't think it's ever going to really change like that. And I see a lot of people saying he could go to the Clippers, and I don't even know how that's going to work. The Clippers have no trade pieces, and maybe they buy him out of his contract and let him go anywhere he wants to go, but that's a lot of money you got to buy out considering how much he's being paid at this moment. So as far as I'm concerned, as great of a player that Kyle Lowry is and how much he can contribute to a contending team, he's the kind of guy that you take care of for the rest of his career, similar like Draymond Green. Draymond Green, yes, we all know he can be traded, but his value goes beyond what he does on the offensive side, or should I say, what he fails to do on the offensive side of the ball. And the same thing kind of applies to Lowry. Lowry is a little bit, I would say, more valuable towards the Raptors because of what he means for that organization.
Yep.
And I think that considering all he's accomplished for that team, there's no need to trade him. You're already back in the playoff hunt. You started off tough because Siakam couldn't create his own shot, but now it looks like he's kind of getting better as a number 1, number 2 kind of guy with them. Van Vliet has made some noticeable improvements this year in his productivity, and I think that Lowry, when he gets back, they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be nice. They could win a playoff series or two.
Listen, I say hell yes, they need to trade Kyle Lowry, and not in a bad way. Not that, the Raptors are better without him, they need to trade him, or not that, he's a cancer to because we all know Kyle Lowry, absolute leader, tough nose, plays hard on both sides of the ball, a great NBA player. And I think it's time to move on. Why? He's done all he could for the Raptors. He's literally done everything. Got his ring with Kawhi. He was a franchise player. I think he's more of a franchise player than DeRozan. You know what I'm saying?
That's
He's
low
a
key.
franchise
Low key.
player. He's probably going to get his jersey up in the Raptors.
Oh, there's no problem.
When it's
He
all
will.
said and done.
He will.
He's going to get that. And I think it's time that the Raptors move on from him because they're going into a different era. Kyle Lowry's getting old. He can still give a title contender something. He can still give them something because he has a lot in the tank. The Raptors are not title contenders. That's why I think they should move on from him. You have Van Vliet, you have Norman Powell, you have Siakam, all very not top players, but they're pretty good players. They're players who can give you something. And I think it's time they move on from him because they're going into a different era now. They moved off DeMar DeRozan. Now they moved off, Kawhi. They didn't move off Kawhi, but Kawhi left them.
He moved off them.
He moved off them.
Shit.
But now they've got pieces. Trade Kyle Lowry, get a draft pick, get something. And, we all know Masai Ujiri. He can do anything when it comes to, the offseason and free agency. He can get anybody of his choosing. And I think, if you trade Kyle Lowry, get something back. There are a lot of teams out there who could use a Kyle Lowry. The Clippers could use a Kyle Lowry. The Sixers maybe could use a Kyle Lowry. And there are teams out there who really could use a Kyle Lowry.
Man, what you do?
And now with Kyle Lowry, he started to get older. His contract's coming up. You can't pay him big money like you used to. You got Van Vliet, who can be your next star for the next 3-4 years. 4 years. You've got Siakam. You've got a couple of young pieces. So I don't think it would be a bad thing to move off Kyle Lowry. And that's just my take.
I think you keep Lowry and just keep trying to be competitive in the East.
They're not going to win a title.
Okay, but we knew that before. Like, we didn't expect them to even win the championship that they won.
Yep.
So the fact that they already even have a championship.
We expected them to be title contenders. That's
this year?
No, with Kawhi in 2019.
Of course.
They're not title contenders now.
Okay, but not every organization has the mentality to win a championship. The Raptors, it's okay for them to be competitive because they won a championship recently and that organization's fan base is cool with just being competitive. They're not a team like the Knicks that being competitive eventually is going to get tiring because the fan base is going to want more. The Raptor fan base knows that they're already at a disadvantage being in Toronto. They know that winning a championship is rare for that entire country. So them already having a championship under their belt, why would you part ways with that guy who got you to that championship and can still help you be competitive?
And my point is,
and if I'm the Raptors, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade for Mo Bamba because they need a center.
Giving up?
They don't have to give up much. Mo Bamba is not.
He's injured.
He's injury prone, and he's not very valuable right now.
I think he has some value.
No, he doesn't because he's backing up Vooch. He's had injuries in his career, and it's clear the Magic are just not even using him.
When I talk about the Raptors, with or without Kyle Lowry, they're going to be very competitive because they've created a culture there with Nick Nurse. Obviously his assistant got hired, so that should tell you all about the Raptors culture as a whole. So with or without Kyle Lowry, they're still going to be competitive. So I don't see why you don't move off of him and get something back because he's going to be He's probably going to be in the latter part of his career.
Then let him do
the
that.
Next 2, 3, 4
let him
years.
Stay.
For what?
He's a Raptor for life, bro.
He can still give a title contender much because he has a lot in the tank.
But they can become
the
Raptors can become title contenders again.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yes, they can. I don't think it's closed.
Not with the pieces they have right now.
You move some of those pieces. Masai Ujiri has proven that he can build a championship roster if you give him the right time. And sure, Lowry can be that veteran guy in the locker room to help the young players whenever they come in. Lowry's had a huge effect on OG Anunoby and his development. The Raptors are one of the best in the league when it comes to development. Look at Chris Boucher and what they were doing with him. Van Vliet was an undrafted player coming into the league. Like, they've proven to find diamonds late in the first round or sometimes undrafted like Van Vliet. So why not try to keep doing that and see where it goes from there. Even Lowry was not some highly suited player when he came to Toronto. So as far as I'm concerned, they can always keep moving on the direction that they're going in. Just stay competitive, be contenders, or not contenders, but just be playoff contenders and move on from there because it doesn't make sense to me to trade him because, you want him to compete, you want him to have more success in his career, but his career is already set. His legacy is set, and I think it's set in Toronto, and it'd be best for him to retire there.
But anyways, I think it's best for the Raptors to move off of him because it's time. It's time. He's been there, won a chip, accomplished everything, and it's just time, he goes somewhere else and compete. But moving on, guys, listen. Last night when the Warriors played the Lakers, Steph Curry got a shooting foul on Dennis Schroeder, and they had some words, exchanged a little words here and there, and now we're seeing a trend of this shooting foul problem in the NBA with guys pump faking and leaning into defenders here and there. So that caused a lot of topics. What should the NBA do about this fouling problem here and there? Listen, I'll say this, right? It's part of the game. None of us want to see a player jumping into a defender and getting 3 shots for it. But I'm saying that's what the NBA that's the rule that they made, to protect shooters. And you know who I'm going to blame? I'm going to blame Zaza Pachulia, because he's the cause of all of this. The NBA created that, shooting land in space. You can't lunge into the defender. You got to give him space to land.
Zaza's not the first to do what he did, though.
No, but he was the first that really, caused, the drama that it did.
I mean,
obviously with hurting Kawhi Leonard. And,
Bruce Bowen used to do that back in the day.
Kawhi Leonard. But I'm going to blame Zaza Pachulia because it's easy to blame Zaza. And, I don't want to say he's an idiot, but, Zaza is Zaza. And what I'm seeing now a lot of trends, Trae Young, doing this, leaning back into defenders, foul shooting, Luka Doncic. It sucks sometimes, but I mean, it's a skill. It's a skill to draw fouls. It's what the NBA allows, and I think a lot of guys are going to keep doing it till the NBA does something about it. What can they do about it? I don't know, but I think there's no problem with it. Guys are going to learn to stay on their feet. Guys are going to learn to stop jumping on pump fakes, and they're just going to have to play great defense. If not, the NBA is not going to do anything about it. So what do you think? Does the NBA have a foul problem? Because I think recently we're starting to see a trend of, more fouls being called on the jump shot, on the shooting, and, should the NBA do something about this foul problem?
No. And the reason I say no is not for the reasons you said. The reason I say no is because there's nothing they really can do about it. Because at the end of the day, if people are just that skilled to where people are fouling them,
you're still gonna bite on the pump fake.
Exactly, you're still gonna bite on the pump fake. And then, let's say they take out the fact that you can't lean forward, lean into the foul. You're still gonna have people that pump fake, and then they're gonna get the calls anyway. And regardless, at the end of the day, even some of these calls that people are mad about, I see some players leaning in, but even if they didn't lean in, the guy was gonna bump into them anyway. So regardless, at the end of the day, drawing foul is a skill. But I will say this drawing foul stuff, it doesn't work in the playoffs. It doesn't work in the playoffs because they hold their whistle in the postseason. And that's why guys like James Harden struggle a lot in the playoffs. No, I'm not even trying, I'm not even trying to send a shot.
Are you
it's
serious?
The truth. It's the truth.
What does this have to do with James Harden?
No. What? Drawing fouls has nothing to do with James Harden?
He don't. We're talking about that leaning stuff.
He does stuff like that all the time, bro.
He gets fouled.
Oh.
He gets fouled. Come on,
brother.
He gets fouled. I personally think he don't even get enough fouls called on him. Because he gets so much, they start to look at we're not going to give him. He's got too much fouls.
You're so
we're not
lame.
going to give
Get
him
out
that
of
free
here.
throw. Come on, bro.
Dude, this is why a guy like James Harden struggles in the playoffs, because he goes into the regular season and he thinks that he's going to be officiated the same way come postseason time. And then when the playoffs comes, he doesn't get some of these fouls and his efficiency drops. And it's I see a lot of people that say, Harden's efficiency gets worse in the playoffs. He just becomes a worse player. I'm like, no, it's because the way they officiate is different in the playoffs versus the regular season. And that's why when you look at a team like the Rockets, it's tough for me to feel bad for them when they're sitting here complaining and bitching about calls that they should have gotten in the conference finals, sitting there making video compilations. I don't care if you got robbed, because you shouldn't be looking for fouls every single possession.
Well, it's basketball. You get fouled, I get free
But you
throws.
shouldn't be intentionally looking for fouls.
It's basketball. It's a skill.
So yes, it's a skill. I understand that. But if you see that the refs are not giving you those calls and you don't have any other way to score the ball.
That's Scott Foster's game.
So you don't think that in Harden's game, drawing fouls is a huge part of it?
I think it's a skill that not many can attain.
Man, you're not. It's like you're ignoring the fact that if a guy is going out there intentionally trying to draw fouls, and then they sit there and
you act like
that's a part of the
play,
game.
like,
That's a
I'm
part of the
going to look
game
for a
that
foul.
you can't control. Yes or no?
You can.
You can't control if the ref's gonna call a foul.
I mean, if you bait the defender to
No, you're not getting what I'm
fouling
saying. I'm talking realistically here, you can't control the ref drawing a foul. You can't control the ref calling the foul. So if that's the case, why is it that a part of your game is dependent on something you can't control? Why is it that you can't just go out there and put the ball? You call him the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA. One of in the conversation, though, right? To you?
Definitely.
If you're that great of a scorer, hell, if you're a top 10 scorer of all time, why is it that a huge part of your game is based on something you can't control? If you're that talented of a scorer, you should be able to control that aspect of your game. But he can't do that, and that's why in the playoffs, he struggles. That's why we see him have games where he shoots 2 of 13 from 3 or 2 of 12 from 3 in the closing games against the Warriors.
I would say burnout, but okay, if you want to make that case.
Man, I don't want to hear that shit, man. I don't want to hear that shit.
Moving on. Right now, we're going to go to commercial break where we'll come back. Giannis had a monster game against the Clippers. We're going to talk about the Bucks. Ooh, can they make some noise in the playoffs? Can they contend? Can Giannis lead them to an NBA championship? And also with our final last 2 segments of the day, Show Me Love by me and David's Hard Shoots. You do not want to miss that when we come back from the commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to First Possession. The last couple of segments on our show, just going to go straight into it. Giannis and the Bucks last night defeated the Los Angeles Clippers 105-100. And Giannis had a monster game closing out in the fourth quarter. And a lot of people, had some talks. The Bucks are looking nice. Do you think Giannis can lead the Bucks to a championship this year?
I think he can. I think he can. What's so funny, man? What's so funny?
Go on, man. Go on. I'm sorry, I heard the joke. I
think he can lead them to a championship. I don't think he will, but I think he can. I think that when you look at Giannis and how dominant he is in the post, what's so funny, man? Can't you just let people praise Giannis without laughing, bro? I laugh whenever you sit here and say Harden's not a choker, but you don't see me out here doing this stuff. Come on now. But regardless, Giannis, a dominant player, one of the most dominant players in the NBA. I think he's one of the most dominant players in NBA history. He is, dude. What is so funny about that? He is one of the most dominant players in the history of the NBA. He's not?
I mean, come on.
Dude, you don't have the resume he has.
Dominant? He's only dominated for like 2 years. What are we talking about?
Did you just say 2 years?
What are we talking about?
2 years.
Okay, back-to-back MVP, and the third year was he averaged about 25?
Dude, yes, that's still dominant. Giannis has been dominant since he stepped in.
He became dominant when he added 50 pounds of muscles.
But when Giannis was skinny Giannis, he was still a solid player that you saw promising.
He was all right.
Dude, when Giannis came in...
No, go on. Make your point. Can he lead them to a championship? Because that's really what I want to hear. I want to hear you try to argue Giannis leading the Bucks to a championship.
I think he can. I just don't think he will this year. I think he can, though, because when you're a player of his caliber, you have to believe that he has the potential to lead them to a championship. The only issue is he doesn't really have that second guy. I keep saying that. Like, I don't know why people are not fair when it comes to Giannis, because like they sit there and they look at guys like Anthony Davis and they say they're better than him, when this is a guy in Anthony Davis who has LeBron fucking James as his teammate. I don't even get how that's fair to even compare the two in terms of their accomplishments and what they're able to do come postseason time. Like Giannis, if you see a lot of times when the Bucks use him, like when he tries to create his own shot, he has that straight line drive. Like Giannis is not he can post up, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't really have post moves, to be fair.
He has no moves.
No, he does have moves.
What moves?
Chill out, he has moves. I'm not getting into that because that's not the topic right now. Okay. So you can talk about that on your own time.
Okay.
But as far as Giannis goes, I think he can lead them to a championship. Like I said earlier, he doesn't have a second guy like that. Middleton, as good as he is, he's not a second guy. He's more of a number 3 guy. Drew, as good as he is, I don't think Drew's a second guy. He's also a number 3 guy. And I think their defense has fallen off a little bit. I think a lot of that is just due to their coasting a lot of these times, because sometimes they don't even go out there and contest some threes. Yeah. I think, you acting like the defense is all Giannis, bro. They have Chris Middleton.
I didn't say anything.
I see your face. I see what you're doing. But regardless, I don't think they're going to win a championship, but I do believe he can lead them to one.
Can Giannis lead the Bucks to a championship? The answer is plain and simple. Hell no. He cannot. He cannot. Brother. Why? Because he's a limited player. And we have seen this for the last couple of postseasons. When it comes to the last couple of minutes in the playoffs, the game is about your superstars stepping up to the plate and getting you a bucket. And Giannis cannot do that. Why? He needs others to make a play for him. He needs Chris Middleton to make a play for him. He needs Eric Bledsoe to make a play for him. Listen, when it comes to Giannis, right? Why am I not fair in Giannis? You're a two-time MVP. You've won 60 games in the last couple of seasons. I'm not going to give you a pass in the playoffs. You didn't win those 60 games without Chris Middleton. You didn't win those 60 games without Brook Lopez. I don't want to hear he has Chris Middleton. Don't give me that. Chris Middleton's a good player. Although he's mid, he's a good player. I mean, he has some skill.
I can't sit here and call him mid. And
he
has
has some skill. He has some skill. Come on. You've won 60 games in the last 60 plus games in the last 2 regular seasons, and you get to the playoffs, and now I'm supposed to give you a pass because he has Chris Middleton. I mean, he has Eric Bledsoe. No, you've got to show up. You've had your shortcomings, and we know in the playoffs, as we are going to see again in these playoffs, you can't just run and dunk every time down the floor. You've got to have a game.
Okay, let me ask you this.
You got to have a move. You got to have something.
Who did Giannis used to lose to last year?
Who did he lose to? He lost to the Miami Heat.
And who did he lose to the year before?
The Toronto Raptors.
What do those teams have in common with their defense?
They have length. They have defense.
Okay, now outside of the Heat, obviously, because they had the same team.
They have the same team.
Tell me who in the
Philly has length.
Philly
has length. Absolutely.
Going.
The Pacers have length. They have 2 monsters down there in the post.
You think the Pacers can beat the Bucks?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Did we think that the Heat could beat the Bucks last year? No,
the Heat are not the Pacers, dude. Stop it. The Heat are not the Pacers.
I'm just saying. Listen, when it comes to the playoffs, we know the game is not fast-paced. Everything slows down. You can't just transition, run, dunk. No. It's half-court offense, half-court defense. When give Giannis the ball in the middle of the paint or in the high key, tell him go make a play. He can't really make a play because he has limitations on the offensive end. So I don't think Giannis can. Chris Middleton can ball out, and they still wouldn't win because Giannis is not going to be that guy.
I don't agree with that because Giannis, if Giannis has a guy that's a number 2. That can ball out. Like you just called Middleton mid, and then you said he's good.
He's a good player.
He's a good mid player.
Good players are mid.
He's a good
Ben
mid player.
Simmons is a good mid player.
Okay, but that proves my point. Middleton is not a number 2. Yes or no?
I think he's a number 2.
Then that I don't agree with. I don't
think Giannis is a number 1.
That I don't agree with.
I think he's a number 2. He can't be your guy that's taking you to a championship because at the end of the day, he can't.
But it's tough to say that because he's a big. Like, it's tough to say that.
now he's a big.
Giannis has always been a big, dude.
But he plays like a perimeter player.
Okay, so is Jokic a big?
Jokic is a big.
Doesn't he have perimeter-oriented game?
Come on.
Jokic handles the... Jokic literally brings the ball down the court sometimes.
Giannis and Jokic, come on, don't be disrespectful. Skill-wise, Jokic is
why are you changing the argument? That's not what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about having the skill to do certain things.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Shaq.
Okay.
Let me use Shaq, for example.
Okay.
Shaq was dominant. Wasn't the most skilled guy.
In the post,
was not the most skilled guy, yes or no? He wasn't the most skilled player.
When you're that dominant in the post, you don't got. That's all you got to do. Go sit in the paint and dunk on everybody.
So that's my point.
Okay.
Giannis does not have the luxury that a guy like Shaq had. When you're a big,
if you're dominant,
when you're a big,
okay,
it usually takes for you to have another guard that is either just as good or a step below. Look at all the great bigs in history. There's only one of them that was able to win a championship, and he only won one without having another star All-NBA caliber player next to him, and that was Hakeem. And he only did it 1 year. The next year he had Clyde. The next year he had Clyde. And like I said, that 1 year was an anomaly. The next year he had Clyde, Kareem, Magic, Oscar, Shaq, Wade, Kobe, Anthony Davis, LeBron. When's the last time that we saw a big win Finals MVP, Dirk?
Bro,
and outside of Dirk,
bigs,
Shaq with Kobe?
Those are like post players. Is Giannis a post
Giannis
player?
Giannis
spends more time running and dunking than he is in the post. What are you talking about?
Giannis is a post player, bro. He literally gets all his points in the post.
Yeah, by driving and dunking. Come on, bro. I tell you, that's like all he does, bro. No skill. Listen, the three-pointers he takes, it's like guys are like 5 feet, like daring him to take that shot.
But that's my point.
If
he had a legit number 2 or somebody of his caliber next to him, he wouldn't be handling that ball. Giannis has his own faults. he can't shoot. Yes. He can't make free throws. Yes. And I think the free throws I'm shocked you didn't bring that up because that is more of an issue than not being able to make threes, in my opinion. I don't know why people don't bring up the fact that he can't make free throws. Because if he could make a couple more free throws, I don't even think he needs to get a three-point shot like that. Because there are times, if you see that Miami Heat series, and even in that Raptors series, he would get fouled, and he just can't make free throws. If he makes a couple more free throws against the Raptors, I'm not disagreeing with you here. If he makes a couple more free throws against the Raptors, they win that series. So Giannis has his own fault, and that's why I believe Giannis stayed in Milwaukee because he knows that he has his own things that he needs to get better at. He knows he needs to be a better shooter. He's talked about the fact that he needs to be a better shooter, and that's why he stayed in Milwaukee, in my opinion, because he sees he has his own flaws that he can bring to the table to perfect and maybe reach that level of winning a championship with the Bucks. But as it pertains to the Bucks, as they're currently constructed, if you replace a Drew Holiday with the Chris Paul, I think the Bucks become way better. If you replace a Chris Middleton with a LeBron James, the Bucks become instant championship favorites. Okay. If you replace those number 2s and number 3s with legitimate number 2s, I definitely believe the Bucks become a better team and Giannis will win a championship with that team. But if you ask me, as they're currently constructed, Giannis' flaws are much more exploitable because he doesn't have a number 2. And that's why you have to take that into consideration with the fact that Giannis just can't shoot. So it goes both ways. You can't sit there and blame Giannis and not blame the other help around him. And for you this whole thing of Giannis not having skill, please, let us stop this. First of all, that's not true. Secondly, that doesn't even matter. There are dominant players in the NBA that don't have the most skill.
Name them.
LeBron James walked into the NBA and did not have the most skill, bro. He did not have the most skill.
And what did the Spurs do to him?
That's my point. You have to get better. Giannis has time to get better. And Giannis needs to be held accountable for his losses. But there are players in the NBA, and Giannis has skill. Giannis has the ability to handle the ball, and he's 7 feet tall. That is a skill. Giannis can play make. That is a skill. Giannis can play defense. That is a skill. I don't understand why people sit here and act like there is no NBA player, at least a star player, because I'm not going to sit here and generalize. There's no star or superstar player that doesn't have skill. Rudy Gobert, for all his flaws offensively, has skill. Because there are 7-footers every day. Do you see them all handling the ball and passing and playmaking and running and dunking like you say? No. So for you to sit here and say he has no skill is ridiculous and absurd. It just doesn't make no sense to me.
Imagine spending that much energy to defend Giannis. Couldn't be me. Anyways.
Actually, I want to say we have breaking news right now.
We do.
We have breaking news. The Atlanta Hawks just fired their coach.
Wow.
The Atlanta Hawks just fired Lloyd Pierce, and they started off the season 14-20. It's a really tough situation right now. So, what's your initial reaction to that?
I think it's an escape route other than really looking at Trae Young and saying that, he's had his mishaps. Yes, he's been playing great, but he's had a lot of bad games, a lot of inconsistent games. And, obviously with somebody of that size, it's really hard to consistently play at a high level because you're always getting beat up. And they made a couple of, additions this season, but they don't take into account DeAndre Hunter has missed the last couple of games. He's been hurt. Danilo Gallinari, he, was out for most of the early part of the season. He just came back. And they didn't give him enough shots to, gel the pieces together. And did we really think they were going to be contenders? We thought maybe they'll be a playing team at the most. So I think it's a way out to just really say, another black coach gone. Let me not get into that. But, I think it's dumb that they fired because Luke Walton has looked way worse than Lloyd Pierce has looked with the Atlanta Hawks, and he still has his job. But I don't like it too much because I think they haven't given him enough. It's a scapegoat. And sometimes that happens in sports. When your team is looking bad and you don't really want to blame the star player, you don't really want to blame the players, the coach is the easiest to fire.
But to be fair, you can't really blame Trae. Like, if you're the Hawks, you got to move on with Trae as your star guy.
I mean, you have to.
You can't just, what are you going to trade him?
You have to blame somebody. And it's so easy to just blame the coach. It's the coach. He's the one.
I've said this numerous times. I think Trae Young's overrated as hell. As good of a player as
a
Trae Young
cop-out.
is, his numbers don't equivalate to wins. They don't translate to the win column whatsoever. And I think that when you look at as good as Trae Young is as a shooter, he's not the shooter that a lot of people believe he is. I kind of hate it when defenses give him so much attention. They act like he's Steph Curry. He's not Steph Curry. He's not even half of what Steph Curry is. He's not even the shooter JJ Redick is. Let me not force. But regardless, like Trae is so boosted, and I think a lot of people need to understand that he has all this help around him that people said he lacked, and now the Hawks are struggling just like they used to. And what's the argument now? Because there's no excuse for them to not make the playoffs.
And I'll say this, and I don't want to be that guy, but black head coaches in sports in America are given way shorter ropes than white head coaches. Listen, Lloyd Pierce been there for, 1.5 years? This season with dealing with COVID and injuries, and you fire him, after 30 games? You can even wait till the All-Star break and see, how they are after. Look at when everybody's together, when the team is fully healthy, how is your team? Then you can get a full evaluation. But you fire him with injuries, with he's dealing with COVID, and with all the things that you take into account. I'm not feeling it with the Hawks, but I mean, if you got to blame somebody, it's so easy to blame the coach.
Yeah.
But anyways, nobody cares about the Hawks anyways.
They're
Moving
pathetic.
on. Second to the last segment, Show Me Love. Listen, we haven't done this for the last couple of shows, but I'm doing this right now. And I think this guy really deserves a lot of love because when we talk about the Utah Jazz, we talk about Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. But one guy that I think a lot of people are starting to put some respect on is Jordan Clarkson, who I think should be unanimous for Sixth Man of the Year. Literally nobody else should even get a vote.
I mean, Boucher
has been great, but you wouldn't say he's been better than.
I mean, but I can see if he gets a vote.
Clarkson.
I can see him getting a vote.
I think he should be unanimous.
Unanimous?
What does getting a vote mean? We respect you. We respect you from a distance, but Jordan Clarkson has been.
I mean,
way
it should
better.
be unanimous as Jordan.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
He
should be unanimous Sixth Man of the Year. I think he has one of the greenest lights in the entire NBA because the shots I've seen this guy take and make, ridiculous.
Insane.
And he's averaging about 18 points per game off the bench in just about 26 minutes a game. 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Jordan Clarkson has been amazing for the Utah Jazz, coming off the bench and giving them that spark that they need. I'm showing Jordan Clarkson some love because I think he's going to be key if they are to make a deep run in the playoffs. And, I think, he's been showing consistent level of performance. And Jordan Clarkson, showing you some love, my brother. He's my Show Me Love segment for today, Jordan Clarkson. He's a top dog for Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah. I think I agree. He's been having a great season. He could be a huge piece for the Jazz in the playoffs.
I think he'll be the X factor.
He'll be the X factor. I mean, that's not a bad take at all. But I think as good as Jordan Clarkson is, come postseason time, I just hope he can really be consistent. Because that's also been an issue for him. Even last time I saw him in the playoffs with the Cavs, he was struggling with consistency, and hopefully he's matured from that experience. Playing alongside LeBron. That can also, make or break your career. But regardless, I think he's had a great season, and in some years he probably would have made the All-Star team. But he's been amazing.
All right, that's it for Show Me Love. And last segment of the day, David's harsh truth of the day. Listen, I know you have something to say about a certain team that's looked awful. So take it off, my friend. David's harsh truth of the day. What do you got? Who do you got? Just the floor is yours, my friend.
Man.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh.
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, snap.
The definition of an abomination. They have 7 wins on the season. They're 7-26. They're at the bottom of the West. And Karl-Anthony Towns putting up great numbers again that are just not translating to the win column. And Cat has his own fault in that. He's not a great defender. He could be better in that area, but offensively, there's nothing he can't do. He can play make out of the post, unlike what many people believe Giannis is not, unlike what a lot of people believe Giannis lacks in skill. Karl-Anthony Towns has all the skill offensively. He can shoot the 3 ball. He's one of the best shooting bigs in the history of the NBA already at this point in his career. Not only that, he can post up and back down. He struggles with physicality, I'll admit that. But offensively, he's one of the most skilled players in the league. And the fact that the Timberwolves can't piece together a good roster around him is just a travesty because they're wasting his years doing nothing. Literally just putting up numbers that are meaningless, getting blown out game by game. They can't defend anybody. People talk about the Wizards defense, being bad. The Timberwolves defense is even worse. You have D'Angelo Russell, who I don't even think is that good. I think he's a solid point guard, but he's nothing more. No, he's not that good. D'Angelo Russell settles too much for mid-range jumpers. He's not aggressive. He doesn't get to the line enough. And outside of that, defensively, he's terrible also. So he doesn't even fit well with Cat as far as that regard goes. And looking at the Timberwolves as an organization, they're abysmal. They're disgusting. They smell. Let's not forget they drafted Andrew Wiggins #1. That returned to be a bust. They gave him a max contract. That returned to be a bust. They gave Karl-Anthony Towns a max and Wiggins a max. Jimmy Butler said, "Where's my max?" They said no. They shipped him off, and what have they been since then? Disgusting, terrible. And I think that the Timberwolves, honestly, I don't even think they deserve a team anymore. I'm not even trying to be mean. Like, when I look at the NBA, I genuinely feel like there are certain benefits from just cutting teams from the NBA. You know, at least Detroit has history. Yeah. They had the bad boys. What do the Timberwolves have? Kevin Garnett? And in some of those years, they didn't even make the playoffs with him. So they're known for wasting careers and wasting talents. So I think, honestly, it's just the best idea to move the concept of the Timberwolves, take it to Seattle. Give it a whole different feel and vibe. Hell, I would just cut the organization as a whole if I could. But, you know, I think the Timberwolves, they're a disgrace. Honestly, disgrace.
Can't disagree with you. Won 7 games out of a possible 30-something games. They've looked absolutely abysmal. Let's not even get into the coaching hire that they did without interviewing, the Raptors assistant coach. They just hired him on the spot. Fire your head coach. It's like, as soon as the head coach was walking out, it's like, oh, yep, you're in. We'll hire you.
Next man up.
They've looked absolutely ridiculous. They've got some star athletes on that team. I think D'Lo is still an amazing player. He's averaging about 19 and 5. Karl-Anthony Towns, we know what he's about. They've got an impressive rookie in Anthony Edwards. We know what he's about.
I mean, look, that's Andrew Wiggins 2.0.
Anthony Edwards? I'm not a big fan, but I like his game a lot. I think he has great touch. But, with the Timberwolves, I think they've been absolutely abysmal this season. But, let's hope they're good next season, because we've been saying this for the last couple of years. They draft a couple of good players, and, we think they'll be good, but they're never good. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with the next episode in a couple of days for the hottest topics in sports. Stay tuned with us. We thank you once again for tuning in. This is First Possession. I'm your host, John Agoro, here with my partner, David Ogdenbe. We'll be back with some of the hottest topics in sports. Listen, when you hear a hot topic in sport, this is the first place to come for instant reaction. So stay tuned, guys. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next time. Peace out.